Welcome back to the Foundry by Forge College. I'm so thrilled to have you here for another explainer. In our previous lesson, we unpacked pattern trade-offs and architectural decision-making, which gave you the blueprint for structuring your Solana applications. But today, we're shifting gears completely. We are moving away from standard CI tests, the ones that just check if your code actually works, and we're stepping into the fascinating and honestly sometimes chaotic world of adversarial security testing. We are going to learn how to actively break things to ensure they are truly unbreakable.
Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever thought about the difference between a builder and a burglar? As a developer, you're the builder, right? You write standard tests to make sure the front door of your dApp opens and closes properly, and you check that the lock clicks into place. But security testing? That requires you to think exactly like a burglar. It asks a fundamentally different question. What happens if someone ignores the front door completely and just drives a truck right through the living room window? We have to anticipate intentional, malicious misuse. So here's our engineering schematic for today. First, thinking like an attacker. Second, the core principles of security. Third, the layered defense strategy. Fourth, a repeatable security workflow. Fifth, coding an adversarial test. And finally, wrapping up and next steps. Section 1. Thinking like an attacker. Let's get a little chaotic. As developers, we naturally have this built-in happy path mentality. We just assume users are going to happily click the exact right buttons in the exact right order. But honestly, it's a beautifully naive assumption. The reality is, users, and especially attackers, are absolute chaos agents. So here's the core difference. Functional CI tests just ask, did it work? They verify that correct behavior happens when the right inputs are provided. Security tests, on the other hand, ask, is it safe? They are designed to intentionally break things. They probe the extreme boundaries of your code, feed it malformed data, and use unauthorized signers just to see how your program reacts under pressure. Section 2. Core Principles of Security. The ground rules for our dApps. And this brilliantly illustrates that security isn't some dark art or unexplainable magic trick. It's actually a highly structured discipline, governed by very concrete, reliable engineering principles. You start with that adversarial mindset we just talked about, followed by layered defenses and explicit invariants. You also absolutely must prioritize reproducibility, meaning if a test fails, you can recreate that exact ledger state, and observability. Finally, no surface-level confidence allowed. Linters are great, but they don't replace targeted tests. In Solana, this literally means explicitly testing how your programs handle unexpected cryptographic keys, mysteriously missing accounts, or totally corrupted states.
Let's zero in on one of those principles for a second, the invariant. Think of an invariant like the law of gravity for your application. No matter what wild, convoluted sequence of instructions an attacker tries to throw at your DeFi app, gravity says things fall down. In your app, the invariant says your total token balance shouldn't just magically increase out of thin air. It is a foundational safety rule, an unchangeable law of physics that absolutely must hold true under any circumstance.
Section 3. The Layered Defense Strategy. How we stack our tests. Now, what's really interesting about this is how we systematically stack these defenses. Because attackers are clever, relying on just one type of test is never going to be enough. You need layers. Actually, this is very similar to how we approach learning at Forge College. You don't just read a text. You combine theory, hands-on practice, and structured reviews to really master it. Security works the exact same way. We run unit tests on every single commit to catch logic bugs. Then per merge or nightly, we bring in integration tests for account flows. We layer on property-based and fuzz testing for those weird deserialization crashes, running those continuously. And finally, manual audits sit at the very end before major releases to catch high-level design vulnerabilities.
Section 4. A repeatable security workflow, making this an actual process.
A lot of people hear security audit, and they immediately picture this mystical group of hackers staring at green code on black screens for weeks. But we need to demystify this. Effective security is just a series of repeatable, well-documented steps on an assembly line. And the first step on that assembly line is the threat model. Now, don't panic. A threat model doesn't need to be some unreadable 40-page corporate document that nobody ever looks at. It is simply a concise 5-minute map. It outlines your program's assets, your trust boundaries, and your critical invariants. It just answers exactly what we need to protect and from whom.
So here's what that workflow looks like in action. You build your lightweight threat model, write test scenarios based on those threats, and integrate them into your CI pipeline. But I really want to draw your attention to step 4, the triage loop. When a security test fails, you don't just patch it and move on. You reproduce the failure deterministically, fix it, and then write a regression test. That regression test ensures that specific vulnerability can never, ever sneak back into your codebase.
Section 5. Coding an adversarial test. Let's look at how this actually works.
Let's move to and see how this builds in a real TypeScript test, because that's where theory really clicks together. Consider a test block that specifically targets a scenario where an account is missing, or the wrong signer is used. To do this properly, the test connects to a local, deterministic validator. We aren't testing on mainnet or even a shared testnet. We are using a highly controlled local environment to intentionally simulate an attack, like deliberately leaving out a required piece of account metadata.
I absolutely love the chaotic energy of this test structure. We connect to the local validator, and then we actively craft a malformed, completely broken instruction. We wrap that submission in a try-catch block because we literally want it to fail. Think about it. If the transaction succeeds, our security has a massive hole in it. We are asserting that failed is true, verifying that our program's defenses held up and rejected the garbage we threw at it.
This brings us to a golden rule, reminding our inner builder to think a bit more like a burglar. Convert your assumptions into tests. If your program assumes a specific account is going to be present, don't just trust that it will be. Explicitly write a test to see what happens when it is maliciously omitted. Every single implicit trust boundary is just an attack vector waiting to be exploited.
Section 6. Wrapping up and next steps. We've covered a tremendous amount of ground today, shifting from basic functional testing into a rigid adversarial mindset. So the crucial point is that these 4 habits are what transform ad hoc, guesswork security into a robust, automated defense system. You shift your mindset, you document a concise threat model, you layer your defenses across your CI pipeline, and you rigorously convert every single fix into a permanent regression test.
I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on. Now that you know how to build a threat model, which automated fuzzing and property-based tools map best to those specific threats? Well, we are going to unpack exactly that in our next explainer on tooling. Until then, make sure to visit forge.college to continue your Web3 education, explore our courses, and dive deeper into building unstoppable decentralized applications. Thanks for learning with me today, and I'll see you in the next explainer.